President Trump has waged an absolutely scorched earth campaign against Iran with the restart of the war. It has been devastating. It's far worse, the bombing campaigns, than the first round that took place the end of February and through March and April. This has been totally devastating for the Iranian regime. This was the Iranian regime headquarters Thursday night, the IRGC headquarters, a mountaintop drone facility, and in a place called Tabriz, just you can see completely incinerated off the face of the earth. It seems like there was no punches being held back this time as they began to degrade further and further into Iranian territory, with President Trump promising that the next time they fire on a vessel, he would hit a power plant around Tehran or a bridge around Tehran. That's where we were as of Thursday evening. Donald Trump putting a red line in the sand when there was already a lot of red blood in the sand in Iran. Now, obviously, Iran had been harassing our bases around the Middle East. 4 American service members died, and they also hit an enormous amount of infrastructure, places like Qatar, and places like Kuwait. In Oman, they were beginning to strike and even threaten American properties, skyscrapers, towers, things like that. And they hit a CIA location, an Amazon logistics location, and so things were beginning to degrade very quickly into an all-out war in the Middle East until today. President Trump had a large series of strikes planned, and we are always locked in for the weekend because this is when the American forces strike the hardest and where you see the most advancement of the American bombing runs. Donald Trump had moved an enormous number of tankers, and B-1 bombers had started long-range bombing runs all the way through Tehran. We started to see the capital city of Iran bombed last Wednesday and Thursday, anti-aircraft gun. But the Iranian nation has, of course, no capacity to defend themselves against this, but they do have a capacity to fire off ballistic missiles and to harass and to harm American service members. And everybody was expecting a massive upscale in the strikes in Iran this Friday and this Saturday, but nothing happened. Instead, Donald Trump was making jokes about Iran at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. What's that about? Iran is now in talks with Oman to advance reopening of the Strait of Hormuz, sources say. Donald Trump called off his military strikes following 12 consecutive nights of strikes by the United States. Donald Trump has said, okay, well, let's go ahead and roll this out and see if we can make some peace. Talks between Oman and Iran on reopening the Strait of Hormuz and their respective territorial waterways have made progress, the two regional sources tell CBS. The Iranian military halted retaliatory attacks against the United States in the Middle East after Washington paused its strikes on Iran for the last 2 nights. They paused consecutive nights of strikes from the U.S., 12 nights of strikes. Let's go ahead and look at what everyone is saying. Everybody's saying the stock market's going to be green on Monday. Iran says they halted retaliatory strikes after President Trump decided not to strike them back. Trump reportedly ordered the U.S. military to not carry out planned strikes on Iran on Friday, despite having previously approved the attack plans, according to Axios. The decision came hours after Oman-mediated talks resumed over reopening the Strait of Hormuz, with reports suggesting the negotiations have made steady progress. The stock market on Monday is okay. Here we go. Donald Trump ordered the U.S. military to stand down, despite previously approving the strikes, said Axios. This came just hours after talks. Meanwhile, on Friday night, it was Donald Trump actually making jokes about the Iranian military and Iran having a gay leader in China. Here's how Donald Trump was handling actually the when he decided to not do the strikes. Here's what Donald Trump was saying.
Press here in one place, I have to say that we're having an amazing load of accomplishments that the media never talks about. For example, under my administration, a once feared and powerful regime that relentlessly attacked America has finally been toppled. Their former leaders have been removed, and they're now being run by a gay dictator facing internal divisions. But I, for one, wish Barry Weiss all the best at CBS News. She's a wonderful woman. Most of the press lives here in Washington, D.C. And
okay, so yeah, I mean, was Donald Trump like previewing something, right, by making a joke about all of this? A 9-figure Axios-linked insider trader on Hyperliquid just opened up a massive oil short a few hours before open today. This comes as the U.S. and Iran have submitted their formal responses to a joint Pakistan-Qatari proposal for the U.S. to return to negotiations. Okay, so there we go. United States and Iran both want to return to an interim ceasefire agreement, and negotiators are discussing a compromise that would see Iran oversee vessel transit through the Strait of Hormuz with fewer restrictions on shipping, the Associated Press said, citing regional official involved in the mediation efforts. I just don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Let me say it again. I don't care. I don't care. Just keep the boats moving through the Strait of Hormuz. I didn't care before the war. I don't care now. I want peace. I don't want economic collapse. I don't want political collapse in my country. If Iran oversees the boats in the Strait of Hormuz, that doesn't bother me one bit. I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. I didn't care about it ahead of time, and that's where we were before the war. And I don't care about it now, really. I want oil was less than $2 a gallon in January of 2026. So that's kind of where my head's at. Iran tensions appear to be easing as President Trump called off plans for strikes. Let the generational bull run commence. Agreement between Iran and Oman over the Strait of Hormuz could be reached as soon as today. There you go. According to Saudi Arabia's Al Arabia channel, the U.S. and Iran have submitted their responses to a Pakistani-Qatari proposal for resuming talks. No word yet on what the conditions are. Okay. Kuwait announces that they have a joint defense cooperation agreement with Pakistan. Okay, we're getting like major agreements signed. Iraq has authorized a pipeline deal with Syria to carry its oil to the Mediterranean. Okay, that's really good, ladies and gentlemen. And people are saying, you know what? All Donald Trump did here was redraw the political maps forever. Most don't recognize this. The moment that we're living in is transformational, unlike anything the world's ever seen. The world map is being redrawn. The old guard is being uprooted and replaced. U.S. military decided they had to step in and put a stop to the global corruption before it was too late, and to usher in the golden age of humanity. Sort of in the middle of World War III, but it's not a full-scale war. It's a proxy war. We're witnessing a controlled extermination of transnational criminal organizations that embedded themselves within governments around the world. Once you understand the gravity of the situation, Trump running in 2028 doesn't sound crazy. Everything is on the table. Well, there we go. Seriously, everything is on the table. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I mean, the last time that we heard from Donald Trump, he said he was going to strike Iran really, really hard, and that everything was going to be decimated, and every time they shoot at a boat in the Strait of Hormuz, that they would lose a power plant and a bridge. But they haven't shot at any boats since then. Are we actually getting somewhere? We would love to see it. It's your boy Benny. Like, share, and subscribe. That's our news update. See ya.